Everyone. Hello everyone, hello everyone, I am Brad Sherper, the chair of Manhattan Community Board 5. Welcome everyone to our full board meeting. We will begin tonight with our public hearings. I will hand it over to our first vice chair, Yaron Nodi Victor.
Good evening. This is the public hearing of Manhattan Community Board 5. I'm Yaron Nodi Victor, and I'll be your chair for the public hearing. During this hearing, members of the public are invited to speak for 2 minutes on subjects set forth in the agenda or on any topic that relates to the affairs of the community district. If you would like to address the board before it votes on any matters tonight, now is your opportunity. Although there will be a public session during the full board meeting later, that public session will be at the end of the meeting after all the votes have taken place. So if you want to address the board on any matter before it votes tonight, now is your time to do so. If you'd like to speak during the public hearing and you're in person, please fill out a speaker form. If you're joining us online, please use the raise hand feature now if you want to speak. When you are recognized, you will be able to. Okay, and we'll begin the public hearing with Lisa Wager. Lisa, you can come up, but I don't know if that mic is even to come. Okay, great.
Hello, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on West 27th between 7th and 8th. I'm here with an FIT update and welcome Tom Hauser. Last week, FIT released a Harris Poll survey commissioned by the college of over 2,000 U.S. adults, revealing the value of creative careers, barriers to entry, and the urgent need to reimagine how creative talent is developed, supported, and connected to opportunity through accessible education. More than 7 in 10 Americans, 71%, believe AI has made it more difficult to find employment in creative industries. At the same time, 90% agree that a mix of hands-on creative education and real-world industry experience is essential for preparing students for modern careers in general. In New York City, long considered the fashion capital of the world, fashion-related jobs have declined almost 30% over the past decade, reflecting broader shifts across the creative economy. In response to these findings, FIT President Jason Shupak announced last week the launch of FIT Future Forward, an institutional strategy designed to identify opportunities and expand access to creative careers through collaboration across disciplines, schools, and industries. The initiative reflects FIT's broader mission to become the laboratory for creative careers in the 21st century, a place for experimentation, discovery, and reinvention, while creating real-world opportunities for students across industries, including fashion, beauty, business, and beyond. Under Shupak's leadership, FIT aims to reinforce New York City's role as a global center for creative innovation. And FIT is an access college. In-state tuition per semester for a bachelor's degree costs less than $3,600, and for an associate degree, less than $22,800. There is no place like New York City and no institution like FIT, said President Shupak. As the largest public investment in the creative talent pipeline, we have both an opportunity and a responsibility to expand access, strengthen the connection between education and industry, and ensure the next generation of creative leaders can build sustainable, meaningful careers. Thank you. And I'm going to hand out a few copies of our alumni magazine. Great.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the room, I will go to Charles Nye.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Hi. So I'm here to speak about the watch party in Central Park for the World Cup final game on July 19th. I was wondering if somehow it could be put onto the park's agenda, because it would, I feel as a resident of the district that it's important to have more details on this large event that's going to take place on the Great Lawn. And I'm hoping that maybe it would be possible to try to, if the board could try to reach out to the president of the Central Park Conservancy to see if maybe she could make it to Monday's Parks Committee to speak about that very large event. And speaking about watch parties, I'm very concerned about what has happened at Bryant Park on June 8th with the Knicks Game 3, when 700 people were in the area crowded around that park, and there was violence towards police officers, spectators throwing glass at each other, climbing up lampposts and scaffolding and police cars, and basically having a brawl with police officers injured and damaging street signs and some of the plants in the park. So I'm wondering also if it's possible to have someone from Bryant Park to come in on Monday's meeting, if possible, to explain about all of that, as there was a watch party there sanctioned by the mayor. And I feel like it's important as community boards, we're meant to, community boards are meant to get input from the public. And I feel like we were left out, members of the public, from any of these watch party discussions. And I appreciate some of these decisions were probably made very last minute and probably not brought to the board's attention, but it's really important that we don't get left out, members of the public left out of giving input, especially since we live in these neighborhoods of these very large sports watch parties. And if the media is correct, it seems like our mayor is wanting more of these large events. I'm hoping that the Parks Committee here at the board can look more into this. And just pivoting away from that, I just want to say I am very disappointed back at the full board meeting on March 9th when there was, I just want to say I'm not a member of any, I'm not a member of the Block Association of the 21st Street or 22nd Street Block Association, but I was disappointed when some disparaging remarks were made of those public speakers. I think it's really important that we hear comments from all members of the public, no matter what the opinion is, even if we disagree or agree with it. And just because someone has a disagreement, it's just because someone does not agree with a point of view doesn't make them a NIMBY or something like that. And I feel like words like that can be very off-putting to members of the public who want to come and give testimony. So I'm hoping that in future we can be mindful of how we address members of the public. And I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, I see your hand up, Senator Kruger. Second.
Hi, everyone. How you doing?
Good, Senator Kruger. We'll get to you shortly.
No problem.
I will now call to order the full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 5. I am Brad Sherburne, the chair. So we will start our full board meeting by hearing from elected officials that are in attendance and wish to address the board. The elected officials will be followed by any representatives of other electeds who may report to the board for 2 minutes each. The board then enters into its business session, which tonight consists of approval of the minutes, district managers report, chair's report, committee reports, and resolutions with a question and comment period. And then we will follow with new business. Lastly, we will then conduct a public session for those who would like to address the board on any item that was not covered during the meeting and that they did not speak to the board about during the public hearing, followed by adjournment. I will ask all speakers to speak slowly and clearly. And I will remind those of you in the room that this room is equipped with microphones that will pick up your voice, even if you are not projecting like I am right now. So please try to limit your side conversations unless you want them on YouTube forever. So I will start this meeting by calling on elected officials, starting with Senator Kruger. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not there in person. Some of you might have heard that I had a bit of a health issue. April 3rd, I had a stroke and I've been recovering, but I've been recovering quickly and very well. So thank you, many of you who contacted me in my office to make sure that there wasn't anything you could do. My office, of course, continued to function perfectly in my couple of months absence because I have the best staff in government. And I know you don't like us to take up a lot of time at these meetings. I get it. So I do want to make sure that everybody got the information updates that we put out, including the fact that despite being a really confusing year in Albany, the budget took 49 extra days. That left much less time to get legislation passed. I'm really proud of a bunch of the legislation we were able to pass in 2 houses, and now the challenge will be getting the governor to sign those bills. Many of my bills relate to both improved environmental issues and housing issues for us here in New York City. And I'm going to now probably just take questions if you allow questions, and if not, just thank you for all your important work for the community every month.
Thank you very much. Yeah, are there any questions? You? Go ahead, Kevin.
Not a question, but just thank you for your continued leadership, Senator, and I hope you continue with good health.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Krueger. Okay, I believe that's it for elected officials in attendance. So we will move to elected representatives. Starting with Julie Rowland from Assemblymember Boards.
All right, what's up, CB5? I wrote you guys this poem. My mayor Muslim, Alex Boris's son is Jewish. My community board 5, Nixon 5, baby. All right. Okay, cool. So really, I just wanted to say hello. A lot of you are new faces. This is what you're gonna get from me a lot. I respectfully want to disagree with Senator Krueger. Alex Boris has the best staff in government. But welcome to CB5 if you're new. Thank you for your civic engagement and just being here. We really appreciate it. You could be, like doing something that's gonna make enough money to go to the next Knicks game, but instead you're here. So thank you so much. I want to not steal anyone's thunder, but you're also here with Michael Kabak, and so you're on a CB5 with the guy giving out free tours. If you don't like him, you can get your money back double. So but please, I would say he's sort of the personality to beat. So welcome to CB5, and we look forward to your contributions. But some updates. Most importantly, we have another Shred Truck event. We actually did 2 in June because you guys are obsessed. So June 18th, we have a free one from 9 till noon outside of our office. That's 40th and Lex, but really on 40th between Lex and 3rd, come shred anything and tell people to do the same. And also, like Indiana Jones sliding under the wall, we got one more bill passed. Alex Boris just got unanimously through both houses a final bill that's A10379, which is going to help protect our kids from chatbots. So this was huge. All of the AI companies were against it, and it passed anyway. And this is going to make it so that chatbots can't be talking to your kids about things like being a fake companion or guiding them into harming themselves or teaching them how to abuse drugs. All of these things are no longer going to be allowed in the state of New York thanks to this bill. So that's a huge legislative win. We have 25 seconds left. I'm going to do the quickest magic trick of all time. All right, shuffle deck of cards. Great, and I'm going to flip through the deck. Anyone tell me when to stop?
Stop.
Right here? Yeah, okay. Will you take that card, show everyone real quick? We got 12 seconds. Everyone seen it? Memorized? Throw it back in the deck. Here we go. I'm shuffling it just like that, walking back to the podium. And it would be impressive at the end of that shuffle. It was the top card, but it's not. It's in my phone case. That's it. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
My next up, but I do not enter that, Chris Walensky from Senator Gonzalez's office.
Hi, everyone. First and foremost, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Veronica. I'm a new community liaison at Senator Kristen Gonzalez's office, and I'm hearing that some of you are also new to the board. So hi, everyone, old and new. I'm super excited to be working with Manhattan constituents. Our office has a lot of exciting news to share. Last week's legislative session ended with the senator passing landmark legislation. We passed 20 bills, 9 are passing both houses, and we're awaiting a signature from the governor. Some highlights for you guys are the Responsible Data Center Act, which is an omnibus data center legislation that includes a 1-year moratorium on new permits for data centers, mandates transparency and community benefits, and establishes energy efficiency goals for data centers. We also have, just previously mentioned, the AI chatbot regulation that's going to protect young people from unsafe features, including protecting youth from bots that claim to be real humans or companions, as well as preventing promotion of suicide and harmful behaviors. Additionally, we also have legislation that mandate shelters and temporary housing facilities provide wireless internet for all residents all the time. And you could read more about the lovely bills, all 20 of them, in our board report that we have down there. We also wanted to mention that the New York State budget passed with the senator advocating for investments in climate resiliency. Some highlights are $50 million for sustainability and NYCHA developments, $7 million in green infrastructure near Ravenswood Power Plant, and $400,000 for Solar One. Additionally, we have a couple events to highlight. On June 9th, the senator attended the 14th Street Plan Working Group to create a holistic vision for redesigning 14th Street to be safer and more welcoming for residents, workers, and visitors. And finally, we're going to be hosting our new Manhattan office hours at Epiphany Library every third Thursday of the month. They're going to be from 3 to 5, no appointment necessary. You can come and meet one of our members, me, for assistance with housing, Department of Labor, SNAP benefits, all of that jazz. And that's our update. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. So we're going to switch back from elected representatives to our electeds. Councilmember Wilson, join us. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hello, Community Board 5. It's a pleasure to be here in my first visit in my official capacity. I am, first of all, I think many of you I don't think we know each other very well, so I'm eager to continue to build out this relationship. But I'm a big fan of community boards. I happened to be a Community Board 4 member before I was, ran for office. And then my first job in government, I was the Community Board 4 liaison for then then Speaker Corey Johnson. So I have a deep admiration for the work that goes on here. It's really, really important. And the pay is good, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. It should be, but no, in all seriousness, really looking forward to working together. I've been on the job 4 weeks, right into the fire. We are right into the peak of our budget business at the city council. My first committee hearings, I've been assigned to 9 committees, which is too many, but what are you gonna do? No, it is a lot, but my first hearing has been the executive budget hearings. So we've been hearing from all of the leadership at the agencies about how they plan to use their budgets and how they're going to enact them. I think probably the biggest piece of news out of that I think is the most important for my district and for Manhattan is a line of questioning that happened around DYCD, the Department of Youth and Community Development. They changed their RFP for their after-school programming, and that resulted in scores that yanked long time after school programs out of schools. So Manhattan Youth is probably the best example, which had serviced many schools across Manhattan. They were very popular. They did a very good job. The principals gave them high ratings on their reviews, but because of the new RFP process and the scoring, which is still, we're not totally clear on the scoring criteria, resulted in them losing that contract to be the after-school provider. It also affected a number of community-based organizations like Hudson Guild and took away their after-school funding. So we are not happy about this. They're a coalition of council members as well as the speaker. We are pushing as hard as we can to try to have some of this resolved, put these after-school programs back, and really understand a lot more about how these decisions were made. There is a legitimate argument that reissuing the RFP, it allows for innovation, but I don't think we need to sacrifice really popular programs for the sake of innovation if they're working. So more to come on this, but something that we had a strong line of questioning on during the budget hearings. I'm also setting up the team. I do not have my Community Board 5 person hired yet. This is the last position we have to hire. We're interviewing for it right now, but hope to have them by the next meeting. And you will get to meet them and hopefully work very closely with them. I did bring along with me my deputy chief and my constituent deputy chief of staff and district director. There we go. Ben Lowenstein, who will be helping running point on a lot of board issues as well. Ben comes to me from Assemblymember Tony Simone's team, so he's he's very plugged in about all the business of the district. So I'm very excited to have him. Our office is on 30th Street, 224 West 30th Street for now. Looking to move, but we're still there for the time being. So the same place that Eric was, Corey was, Christine Quinn for now. And I'm very excited to get to work with all of you. You know, we've had some, when I was Chief of Staff to Councilmember Botcher, worked very closely with Community Board 5 during the Midtown South rezoning. We still have some follow-up work to do on that to make sure that goes according to plan. I intend to be very actively involved in that, and eager to keep working with all of you. So this is just the beginning of our relationship, and I am excited about the future. So that's me. Am I dismissed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, back to elected representatives with Marla McMahon from Assemblymember Simone's office.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marley McMahon, and I'm the new community liaison for Assemblymember Simone for Community Board 5. Nice to meet you all. I'm looking forward to getting to know you all. Okay, you got it. And working with you on issues in the district. The legislative session in Albany just wrapped up, and many of the Assembly members' bills passed in the Assembly. The MELT Act, which will ban ICE agents from covering their faces and require them to display identification pass as part of a major immigration package, and has been signed by the governor, my apologies. Mental health has been a major point of the Assembly members' work, and last week he passed legislation that will enter New York into the Psychological Interjurisdictional Compact. Right now, if you cross state lines, you can't talk to your therapist. This has a significant impact on students leaving the state for college, those who travel for work, and the people who retire out of state. This legislation, if signed by the governor, will join a compact with 43 other states to recognize psychological licenses, allowing continuity of care through most of the country. The Freedom to Read Act also passed last week, ensuring that small groups of parents won't be able to ban books in school libraries based on their own political views. This bill was supported by Education, the State Library Association, and civil liberties advocates, and now awaits the governor's signature. On Penn Station, Assemblymember Simone and all elected officials are outraged by the federal government's attempt to conduct a land grab around Penn Station. Since the federal takeover of Penn reconstruction, there has been an extreme lack of transparency and accountability, and the Assembly member fully supports Congressman Nadler's efforts to push back in DC. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me.
Okay, next up is Bruce Pear from Councilmember.
Okay, before, sorry about that, everyone.
Nice pass, Paul.
Yeah, very dramatic. We would like to invite you to Councilmember Maloney's open house in her new district office. That will be on Wednesday night from 5 to 7 at the Gray Bar Building, 420 Lexington Avenue, Suite 650 on the 6th floor. Conveniently located in Community Board 5. It's been a very busy time for her in Community Board 5. She's been all over her part of the district, including attending the Garment District Alliance's new streetscape mural unveiling on the Broadway Pedestrian Plaza between 39th and 40th Streets on Tuesday, the Bryant Park Corporation meeting this week, and the annual meeting of the West 50s Neighborhood Association that took place on Tuesday night. She, as Councilmember Wilson mentioned, has been responding to a real outpouring of concerns from Manhattan families with school-aged children regarding the move by the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development to shift after-school programming. I think he talked about that quite a bit, but let's just say we are continuing to monitor that situation and have been very active in lobbying the city to reopen that RFP. She is continuing to press the case to keep open the Main Chance Drop-In Center. It's the only one serving homeless persons in all of Community Board 5. It's located in Councilmember Epstein's district, but it has been serving Midtown Manhattan for 37 years. The city's Department of Social Services announced it tends to yank the contract, which would shut it down effectively, since it's about 95% of its funding. That would take place on June 30th. Councilmember Epstein has set up a meeting with DSS, and in the meanwhile, attorneys for Main Chance have obtained a temporary restraining order. We really want to thank Councilmember Epstein's office and Senator Gonzalez's office, who are really helping to lead the efforts to save Main Chance. Both of them represent that site. She is continuing to monitor with interest DOT's proposed redesign of Park Avenue Mall between 46th and 57th Streets. It's a really promising proposal. She's getting a lot of feedback on it from workers and area residents. We've attended street corner information tables that have been set up by the consultants engaged by DOT. And I reported back on the CB5 Transportation Committee a prolonged discussion of the proposal to her. And we look forward to seeing how that develops in the months ahead. Finally, she did chair an economic development committee executive budget hearing. It talked about a variety of topics: the city-backed insurance program, Mayor Mamdani's proposed city-owned grocery stores, the FIFA World Cup preparations, and the New York City ferry operations, and the city's growing AI sector. She used to work at the Economic Development Corporation, and she's very concerned that there is still no president just about halfway through the year. She's hoping that the administration will appoint one soon. We hope to see you at the open house on Wednesday night. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So we are going to move online, but before we do that, if everyone in the room could silence their devices, we've got a lot of beeping and chirping going on, so it's very good thing. So we will go online to Member Epstein's office.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Julia Rudy is the traditional CB5 liaison. I'm filling in for her. I'm Jackson. I'm Councilman Epstein's chief of staff. I just wanted to give you guys a couple quick updates. 2 hearings coming up in June that may be of interest. One is going to be on the 17th. We're hearing Councilman Epstein's bill that gives DCWP an additional lever to suspend tobacco licenses for vendors that are illegally selling cannabis. This has been a real problem in the district, including in some places in CB5, to my understanding. So we hope that we have a successful hearing and can bring this bill to the floor for a vote. On the 22nd of June, there's going to be a hearing related to 2 bills that may be of interest to the community board. One has to do with setting term limits for district managers, and the other gives council members new authority to appoint up to 50% of community board members directly. The council member has not taken a position on either of these bills, and it's just the beginning of the legislative process, but I wanted to make sure that the board knew that this was happening and there was an opportunity to weigh in if they wanted to. And yeah, I don't really want to add anything else to what Bree said. He summed it up perfectly. Bree, Main Chance, we're going to be having a meeting, and I'm sure once we discuss this further with DHS, we will report out and can continue to have conversations about the future of homeless services in this area. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Are there any other elected representatives either in the room or online that I've missed? Anna Wiederman. Be able to speak.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah from Congressman Jerry Nadler's office. I'm filling in for Mackie Bentley tonight. So I just wanted to quickly give you 2 updates. Congressman Nadler, along with other New York elected officials, as said by Tony's office, and community members rallied this past weekend against the Trump administration's takeover of Penn Station. The Penn Station redevelopment process has broken every precedent and trampled on the rights of New York City residents and the hundreds of thousands of riders who use Penn Station every day. There's been no transparency into the overall costs, who will pay this unknown price, no from the MTA or key stakeholders, no public proposal on which land will be used and for what purpose, now or later. So New Yorkers' voices have been muted from the discussion, and Congressman Nadler will make sure their voices are heard and that their hard-earned dollars are protected from these corrupt efforts to fulfill Donald Trump's fantasies at Penn Station. In other news, Congressman Nadler led a letter along with other New York Democrats encouraging NYU Langone to fight against the recent subpoenas from the Trump administration that would violate the constitutional right to privacy for minor patients receiving gender-affirming care from NYU Langone. He also has spoken out against Mount Sinai's recent decision to share trans children's records with the federal government. Congressman Nadler will continue to fight to protect trans youth from these unlawful attacks and ensure they are provided necessary medical care, as well as preserving their dignity and constitutionally guaranteed rights. Finally, the congressional challenge is officially underway. The deadline for this is in October, so Mackie will provide more information in the fall moving forward. But essentially, the challenge is open to all middle and high school students residing in or attending schools in New York 12. Information will be found on our website at nadler.house.gov, but the deadline isn't until October 26th. So feel free to go on our website or contact our office without any questions. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Are there any other elected representatives? We did it. All right, we will now enter into the business session of the board, where, as I mentioned, only board members are permitted to speak. Board members attending virtually, please remember to have your videos on during the meeting. So we are entering the business session, starting with a vote to accept the prior meeting minutes. May I have a motion? Motion to approve. And a second. Thank you. For our new members, and as a reminder to all of our members, we are conducting voting using the Google form sent to you by Milan with the subject line CB5 June full board meeting. Please use this Google form to cast your votes. You may register your votes as we go throughout the evening or enter them at the very end. That's you. But you will only be clicking submit one time for all the votes tonight when you are satisfied that you've heard enough and your mind is made up. Members should only cast votes on items for which they were present for deliberations. If you are unable to attend the entire meeting, please select the absent option for all relevant. For our new members, I will go over shortly what the voting options mean so you understand. So we have the yes and the no votes. Those are fairly straightforward. They are what you select if you agree or disagree with the resolution letter becoming the formal position of the board. As an example, we have resolutions tonight that are a denial of an application. So if you vote yes on this item, you are agreeing with this denial. And if you vote no, that would mean that you disagree with this denial as the board position. Next is abstain, which you should only select if you, for some reason, cannot reach a position on the resolution. Important to recognize in an abstention is that all items need a majority of members who are present and entitled to vote to pass, of which abstentions count. So an abstention has a similar effect on the outcomes of a resolution to a no. I also personally encourage you all to avoid using this option whenever possible. I know it can be difficult sometimes to decide on how to vote on some of our more complicated topics that come before us, but we were all appointed to use our judgment and our voice to help improve our community and guide our elected officials. Finally, we have present, not entitled, which is applicable only in the interest of a conflict of interest. So this will likely be mostly not used by many of you. You're expected to use your best judgment in order to vote. However, if you are unsure, you can follow the recommendation of the committee that spent considerable time to review and deliberate on this item to generate a resolution. You could also look to a fellow board member whose judgment you trust on the issue. It is your decision to make. Finally, if you are in person or having issues or need assistance, the board office is available to assist. For members attending virtually, please let us know in the Zoom chat if you're having issues. So with that, we will now move into the district manager's report. There's the you're up. And we're up back.
Hello. So first, I just want to welcome the new members. I'm Marisa Mock. I'm the district manager. Sitting back there is Isabel Jordan and Josh Hughes. You've heard from us. You have our contact info. Don't hesitate to reach out. So, you know, I don't know about you, but I had a hard time concentrating today. Midtown is a buzz. And there is lots more to come. The World Cup started today. Mexico beat South Africa. Yes. To that, there are 8 games at MetLife Stadium that will significantly impact Midtown. They are expecting something like 25,000 people to travel from New York City to MetLife Stadium for each of those games. That means buses, trains, cars, and I'm not even going to talk about any overlap with the Knicks Game 6. For the blocks around Penn Station, Grand Central, and Columbus Circle on those 8 days, there will be street closures to allow for direct buses to the stadium and back. So for several hours before each game and a couple of hours after the game ends, 34th Street, 42nd Street will be closed to regular traffic. Blocks around Columbus Circle may close for holding buses, and there may be some side street closures depending on any incidents that day. The city has several contingency plans for each day. Blocks around Penn Station will be closed for queuing for the trains as well. So for sure, 32nd Street between 6th and 7th, 33rd Street between 6th and 8th will be closed, but others may get closed if contingency plans are put in place. So just be prepared. Take trains, walk, give yourself extra time, be patient. It's New York. It's just a little extra chaos to the normal. That's all. Enjoy. There will be 3 game days that coincide with CB5 committee meetings. June 16th, the SLAP meeting. That's a day game, so I'm hoping most is cleared away. If you're coming to the office, give yourself a little more time. If there is a game 6, because it's New York, so nothing's easy. We haven't waited over 50 years for it to be easy. We'll communicate with the committee about that. We may need to have our own contingency plan. The entire area around our office has been closed several times, so stay tuned. June 22nd, the transportation meeting, that's a night game, so the closures will be in full force at meeting time. Give yourself extra time to get to the office. June 30th, the exec committee meeting, also an early evening game. Give yourself time. World Cup or no, we still need quorum to hold a meeting, which means you have to physically be in the room. An inconvenience does not count as an emergency. There will be in-person meetings. You are expected to be there. For anyone who wants to see the specifics of the plans or who lives right around those areas, those staging areas, I have maps, I have more details. Just check in with me and I can give you all that. Okay.
Thank you, Rita. Right, we will now move into the chair's report. So I would like to, like many of others have tonight, start by welcoming our 12 new members to Manhattan Community Board 5. We are thrilled to have you here and look forward to your perspectives and energy you'll bring to the board. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of your fellow board members as you get settled in. And if we could go around the room and just briefly stand up, say your name, introduce yourself, and then we'll keep it moving. We'll start over here, Natalie.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. I'm Natalie. Good.
Okay, yeah.
Great. Hey, everybody. Chris Bell. That's it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pearl Wynn, and I'm excited to get to know y'all.
I'm Tom User. If I will familiar with some of you, I've been shadowing board meetings the last few months.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy.
Hi, everyone. Max Clark. Looking forward to get started.
Hi, everyone. Harper Simpson. Looking forward to working with you all.
Anna, you get.
Christopher.
Hi, everybody. Jonas Scheinender. Happy to be here. Looking forward to work together.
Do it.
Me. Hi, I'm Kelly. Excited to be here.
Right. I also want to take a moment to recognize some new leadership on our board. So we've had a little bit of turnover, and so we have 3 new vice chairs. Starting up, we have Andrea Ng, who's the new vice chair of SLAP. We have Kiran Patel, the new vice chair of Landmarks. has been the new Vice Chair of Transportation. All right, before we go any further, I also want to talk about attendance. As a reminder, this month marks the beginning of this year's attendance cycle, so everyone is starting fresh as of tonight. As a board member, your attendance is one of the most important aspects of your service, as Marisa mentioned. It matters for your fellow board members who are counting on you to be in the room and sharing your perspective. It matters for our community, whom we are here to serve, and matters practically because we cannot conduct business without quorum. So every absence has a real consequence on the work that we do. So please make every effort to be here and in person. Per our bylaws, members typically serve on two committees, and are also expected to attend full board meetings like this one. So that's 3 meetings a month across 11 months, because we don't meet in August typically. So that's 33 meetings a year, not counting any other responsibilities or roles that you may have. Of those, you are allowed 5 absences and 5 virtual appearances total. You can also not miss multiple meetings in a row of the same body. If you exceed those limits and continue to miss meetings, you will receive a letter from the executive committee letting you know. And beyond that, the board may decide to remove you, as it makes it much harder for us to do the work that we need to do. So if you have any questions about your attendance standing in the coming months, please reach out to our Secretary Milan, keeps track of all that. And then finishing up on attendance, I want to take a special moment to recognize our only member over this past year who had perfect attendance. They were here at every single board meeting, every single committee meeting, all year long, not one absence, not one virtual attendance. And that member is Kiran Patel. To this community is exemplary, and so to celebrate this occasion. Thanks. All right, committee assignments have gone out, as you have all seen yesterday. I heard from many of you about your preferences, and I did my best to honor them. There are a lot of moving pieces across the full board, and I appreciate all of your flexibility and patience as we move through that process. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone dig into their work this year and bring their energy and expertise to the issues that matter most to our community. I also want to let you know that I'll soon be sending out an email related to the Business Improvement District Representatives assignments that are coming up in the coming months. So keep an eye out for that email. I'll be sending it out as well as a summary of all of the various roles. So keep an eye on that if you'd like to be considered and respond as promptly as possible. Next, the budget process, as hard as it may be to believe, is starting back up again. And so this is now year 2 of our task force model. Kim McCall will be leading that effort again this year. That task force is responsible for developing our list of budget requests, drafting our district needs statement, and setting our budget priorities on behalf of the board and our community. That responsibility is one of our 2 board charter mandated roles. And so we would like members from all committees to ensure a broad and diverse set of perspectives. So if you are interested in serving on that task force, please reach out to me and Kim McCall. And then finally, a save the date. We will be holding our long-awaited social event on July 1st. Our first and second vice chairs, Huron and Samir, will be reaching out shortly with more details. So I hope to see you all there. So that concludes my chair's report. Thank you all. And we will now move to committee reports and resolutions, starting with landmarks.
Look at Mark. Mark over there.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Frizz. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the chair of the Landmarks Committee. And for those of you who may not know how this works, every application that comes before the Landmarks Preservation Commission must also come before our committee and present their application. So earlier this month, or actually last month, we had 3 of these applications. So I'm going to summarize each of the 3 applications, and I'll give you a quick summary of how our committee discussed the matter and how we voted to approve or deny. The committee votes are effectively our committee's recommendation to the board, but you all will vote on these at the end of tonight's meeting, and that will become the official position of the Community Board 5. So the first of these applications is Central Park. That may sound unusual, but Central Park is actually one big scenic landmark in the city. Anytime they want to make significant changes to Central Park, they must go through the landmark approval process. That process includes holding a public hearing in any community board that touches one of its borders, and that includes CB5. So for this particular application, they want to renovate the east side water basin and boathouse. The water basin and boathouse is probably well known to most of you as the model boat pond on the east side of the park between 72nd and 76th Street. The application has three things. They want to restore the walls of the water basin itself, renovate the curbs boathouse behind it, and upgrade the surrounding landscape. So first for the basin itself, the perimeter walls are currently a patchwork of very old concrete and past repairs, all of which are deteriorating. As part of the renovation, the walls will be repaired and the walking path around the pond will be restored. Second, the boathouse itself will be restored. The copper roof will be detailed, the brick will be reappointed, and the stone will be repaired. Inside, there are big quality of life win for us. There will be upgraded public restrooms. This renovation will add 6 new flushing units and 5 new sinks overall. Third and lastly, the surrounding landscape. So the landscape around the boat basin will add more walkable paths, new handrails, regraded terraces, and new benches. Overall, similar with most Central Park applications, it was a terrific presentation and is terrific restoration to, I'm sure is a well-loved spot to all of you. Easy approval at the committee, unanimous 9-0-0.
So are there any conflicts? Any questions?
Will those 3 different phases be happening concurrently, or will they be happening one right after the other?
Great question. Concurrently. It'll be a multi-year process. So unfortunately, it'll be, the boat basin itself will be drained, obviously while they repair the wall. And then the thing will be shut down. Maybe Karen remembers, but I believe it was scheduled to be done by 2020, spring of 28. Most of the work will be done next year.
That's right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Catherine?
Did you say the vote again? Did you say 9-0-0?
9-0-0, yes. Oh, maybe my notes are wrong. Whatever it says in the packet is the correct number. Sorry.
So yeah, that was a mistake in the packet. It was 8000. It's corrected in the packet that's online right now, but that's not.
Perfect. Whatever Marisa said in her packet is correct.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, excellent.
Great. Okay, the next one is a little less exciting in Central Park, 1181 Broadway. So this building is not an individual landmark, but is located within Madison Square North Historic District. So what's that mean? So for the benefit of new members, there are different types of landmarks. There are individual landmarks such as Grand Central Terminal, which is what I'm sure most of you think of when you hear a landmark, but there are also landmark districts. The purpose of a landmark district is to preserve the history of an entire neighborhood. So in practice, what this means is that if there are any significant exterior changes to any building within this entire district, it must go through the landmark approval process before the Department of Buildings issues a work permit. In CB5, we have 2 major landmark districts, Ladies Mile from 15th to 24th Street and Madison Square North from 25th to 29th. So 1181 Broadway is a building within the Madison Square North Historic District. This is the building itself. So that's just some background. So the building itself, it's an 11-story commercial building undergoing a full building restoration. It's part of a conversion into a hybrid commercial and residential. For the existing board members, this application is notable for another reason to us all. This is one of the first applications coming through the city, working its way through the system under the MSMX Midtown South rezoning to allow for more housing units. We all love more housing, so this is exciting to see. There are 3 components to the application. It was, lengthy. First, a rooftop penthouse. Second, restoring the ground floor storefront. And third, facade repairs. If you're curious, there's a photo of the proposed work in the back of the resolution. First, the easy one, the storefront work on the ground floor brings back the original 1905 design. It is both an aesthetic upgrade from what it looks like at the moment, which is an abandoned weed shop, and it also restores the original aesthetic of the building. The second portion is the facade work. It was all in kind with the original work matching the brick, terracotta, exactly what you want to see. So the facade and the storefront redesign were both easy portions of this application. The third portion is a little more challenging. They want to add a penthouse rooftop addition, roughly 2,100 square feet to the top of the roof. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that because it's a rooftop addition, you'll see it from the street, and that increases the historic sight line of the building. From a landmark perspective, any disruption to the historic sight line is typically a no-no. But here's the thing. Here's where it became a little bit more nuanced. What's currently up there is a jumble of water tanks, bulkheads, and random sheds. So the proposed addition is set back, but it's classically detailed and designed to match the actual crown of the building and the aesthetic of the overall building. So that given it is a meaningfully better aesthetic than the jumble of stuff that's up there currently, the committee was willing to accept the slight interruption to the sight line. So this was approved also. The vote was unanimous, 8-0.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Any comments?
Okay, the last one, 25 East 21st Street. Again, Ladies Mile Historic District Building. This is an unusual application in that is it a request to resolve a current violation. The tenant is a film production studio, a small business on the ground floor. They covered their entire ground floor windows with translucent film. And unfortunately, knowingly or unknowingly, they did so without a permit. And that earned them a violation. So they are now going through the process, asking both us and LPC to keep it as is. The problem is that the guideline for storefronts in the Ladies Mile Historic District is no more than 50% of the window coverage, and they're at 100%. Now, as a committee, we had an interesting discussion about it. We certainly understand their case. They're a small business, and they, at least claim not to have understand the issue. But we're recommending a denial for two reasons. First, our denial is about protecting the integrity of both the guideline, the rule itself, and then also our community board process. In other words, granting deviations from the fact makes seeking our input less meaningful to future applications. So for a violation in place, we actually typically apply a higher standard than we would otherwise. Second, and from a practical point of view, there's an easy resolution to the problem and still follow the rules. Film up to 50% plus interior shades or partitions are well within the guidelines, and it meets the practical considerations that their film studio business are trying to meet. So there's a compliant path here for the applicant, and it preserves the integrity of both our process and the rule itself. So for that reason, we recommended a denial of their application. The vote was again unanimous, 8-0.
Thank you. Any conflicts? Questions? Kevin?
Kevin, was the applicant and present at this meeting, and were they made available to speak? Questions?
I'm sorry, say the last part.
Was the applicant present, and were they able to speak and answer questions?
For sure, the applicant was there.
It was the small business owner himself, and it's impossible to say, but we definitely did get the impression that he was unaware of the ruling. He hired what he called a consultant, but in reality was probably just the person who puts these translucent films on windows and also labeled himself as a consultant. So we're sympathetic to the issue, but there is a path forward that's not too onerous.
Any other questions? Comments? Mike?
I just wanted to say, Kevin, what a great presentation. It's rare that somebody goes into each and every explanation the way you did for the new people. I applaud your presentation. Great job.
Thank you.
Highly recommend Michael's tours.
Any other comments? Right. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Parks, Public Spaces, and the Environment.
Hi, everyone. I am Libby Hutton. I am the Parks, Public Spaces, and Environment Chair. Welcome to our new members. I have two items on the agenda for tonight. May I have them deemed read? Thank you. So just a little bit of background for our new members. You may be wondering why we have a bill from Albany that was pulled and the session is over. We heard the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act, known as A1749A, at our meeting. And though the session is over, we like to not have the time be wasted. And so this will likely be reintroduced. This gives us something to then pull from when we hear something in the future. And then we can make adjustments depending on how we feel at the time and depending on what's in front of us. But because we heard it, we would like to go forward with it. This was an exciting moment for our committee because it was an environmental item, which we've just taken over sort of territory for in the last couple months. And so we passed this actually we had more people. It was 11,000. And this makes essentially it creates an extended producer responsibility for packaging at the source. And it requires covered producers to participate in a state-approved reduction and recycling program. So they would have to pay fees based on packaging type and volume and meet standards for reduction, reuse, recyclability, recycled content, and toxic substances. And the resolution, the one thing that got us to consensus was that we noted that the amount of money that it would save and sort of the economic implications, we accepted that the terms that were offered to us in the presentations that we heard were accurate. And that was sort of a feature of our consensus. And it passed 11,000.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Comments?
I could comment on Ruby's dress. Next.
Item 5.
Our comment remain, but I'll allow that one. Any other comments? Okay, next one.
Okay. And so our next item is a marketing activation event that is proposed to take place right at Bryant Park. And it is a Nike event or support of a Nike event. The proposed event would create a temporary stadium that would take over half of the lawn, all of the lawn for a period of about 2 weeks, just about 2/3 of the entire Bryant Park lawn. We use our guidelines overall to guide how we feel about marketing activations or any types of events in parks and public spaces based on sort of community and public value. The committee felt on the whole that because of the timing of the event, that it coincided with Pride weekend, which will have a lot of activities, including that particular weekend. There's an event that begins at Bryant Park. Additionally, there was not sufficient information in the application regarding sort of accessibility, the sound, the staffing, and sort of the volume, as well as just the amount of compensation for the space. We are working and in conversations with Bryant Park to get more information, even though it's private information between two entities, to be able to properly evaluate whether the time that the event that is totally open to the public, but in order to find out whether or not that is time taken away from the park in general. I did want to note one nice feature, though this was voted as a deny unless these changes were made, reducing the time, load-in, and ADA accessibility, sanitation, restoration, and the financial contribution, that they are going to experiment with a new type of grass. One of the things that we hear for the new members, we hear a lot about at Bryant Park and in all of our parks is lawn. And we want more time on the lawn. We want more time on the grass. After this activation, because it will really damage a lot of the lawn, they're going to completely resod the entire thing with a different type of grass. The horticulturist is extremely excited about this. The idea is that if you want to talk to me more about it after, I can go into the details of the type of sod and how they're growing it and the varietal, but it's going to be more green more of the time because of the temperature at which it grows. So this is going to be a more appropriate grass so that we can get more use out of the lawn in general. And it's the type of sod that will be usable within 24 hours. Some of our committee members were skeptical of this, but stay tuned. So the committee did a deny unless of the activation 9100. But I'm personally looking forward to the type of grass and accessibility with that.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Is there a microphone? No.
Need it.
No need it.
Oh, it's up, okay. Was there the question? Has there been the question asked if there's any conflicts with Nike and Peterman's consulting business?
I do not believe that was a question that was asked during the meeting, but all conflicts of interest are handled internally within Bryant Park and is not as much of the perspective of the committee when reviewing applications for the public.
Do we know if Nike is doing this in other parks that Peterman consults with?
This particular activation has happened in other cities, I think in other countries, but definitely other cities. And I'm not sure about the involvement of anyone at Bryant Park Corporation with those activations.
And we have no financial information about the arrangement.
So there's a certain amount of information the board and the committee was able to have explained on the record. They were allowed to tell us that it is a significant contribution, more significant than any that our liaison had seen in her many, many years at Bryant Park, which is significant, and that it was 7 figures. It is a very, very substantive amount of money, but she is personally not authorized to create that disclosure. And they do try to not say that on the record in public meetings because they don't want to have to negotiate against themselves as part of the public-private entity. We are working on trying to figure out a way that when we do our questionnaires, we can get a little bit more financial information without them necessarily breaching contract or having to give us an exact number. But we do questionnaires and we ask if there is a contribution being made in exchange for the space. And this one is it is incredibly significant for the needs of the financial needs of the maintenance of the park and the food programming. That is what was relayed to us. Like very, very significant.
Just to confirm, that multi-million-dollar contract, that money is going to stay within Bryant Park and it's not going to be distributed to any other parks around in the area.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bryant Park specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question, because, I'm new. For situations like these, when we go to vote for, the committee recommends denial unless certain, stipulations are made. How are we able to vote on, like, I want to say yes to this if the things are met, but if they're not, then like.
So hold on. So that is sort of the whole idea behind the community board, is that we are an advisory body. So the information, this resolution will go to Bryant Park, it will go to our elected officials, it will go to the Parks Department. It goes sort of out into the world as this is the official position of Manhattan Community Board 5. We don't have the ability to enforce these things to be done. But the point is that we are putting on the record the things that we care about. And so were these to be these 3 items to be addressed, presumably we would be in approval.
Like if the amount of money in a very specific way were disclosed, then that might change the mind in addition to all these other plans that we would like to see.
Any other questions? Comments? David?
I'm very happy this is a deny. I think Bryant Park is very troubling. I think that Dan Peterman has a massive consulting business that consults with Salesforce Park in San Francisco, Union Square in San Francisco, Dallas, and then there's a dozen plus other parks that he consults for his private business, while also stating that he works 50 hours on Bryant Park and 34th Street Partnership. So I feel that there's massive conflict here and there is a problem and they're being totally not transparent with the money. And Nike has lots of money to spend. And the fact that we don't really understand how the economics work and what conflicts there are, and we just rely upon Bryant Park to solve the conflicts, doesn't give me comfort. So I'm happy this is a deny and I will be voting for the denial. Thank you.
So, apropos what David said,
and what the issue of transparency when the Parks Committee does its due diligence and conducts these hearings is very important. And we have been all over the Bryant Park Corporation to give us more money and more information about the money and collect exact information. However, traditionally, the committee is not concerned so much with doing due diligence on the person, which would be Mr. Biederman, but generally about the size of the contribution. And that's really, I believe, is more the problem. So the city council, other organs of government, it's more appropriate for them to go after conflicts of interest that are personalized. So Libby can speak to the issue of our efforts to get more information out. The fact that they're telling us now the size of the contribution is something that has emerged. Anyway, that's something to keep in mind.
Comments, Christopher?
So I want to talk about the event itself and how it's really inappropriate for the space. If you look at where else Nike has held this event and what they're doing, they're all private, or almost all private entertainment spaces, like something you might find up here on the west side. They're building a stadium on a lawn, and it's a ticketed event, so it's not open to the public. It's 1,000 people, and then they have overflow, which is kind of more of a disaster for the ticketed event. It's first come, first served, 1,000 people, and they have overflow outside, which means the lawn will be taken up. Any remainder of the lawn is going to be taken up by people watching events. So again, this event is much more suited for a private venue that can deal with this kind of construction and removal, not a public park. And it's moving Bryant Park in the wrong direction. The amount of money, I don't know why I want to talk about this, but the amount of money is very high, and it is their whole budget. But the thing that they would not agree to, which was very vexing, I think, to the committee, was number one, to disclose the amount of money, horrible. Number two, to agree then to limit the amount of commercial activity they have on the lawn going forward. So if they manage to recoup a gigantic amount of money with one event, that's great. But then shouldn't they also let future events, shouldn't they bar future events so that the public could enjoy the lawn for more of the rest of the year? And that was not on the table at the committee meeting, and I think it was certainly bothersome to me and a lot of the other committee members. So just it's a bad fit, and it's a bad direction. And they should be much more open with us about certain other things. And they should certainly be willing to negotiate closing down the lawn for the rest of the year.
Thanks. Any other comments?
So two new members can hear from the dialogue that's happening for most of the people on this table, on the committee, is that we have as a whole a negative, kind of a negative attitude towards the money-making things that are going on in Bryant Park. As a daily occupant of Bryant Park, I don't think any three people here go there as much as I do. I was there today, a couple hours yesterday. There's nobody who appreciates this park more than me. I love it. The guy who I've been going there since 1966. I started going to Bryant Park when they were shooting up in there, when they were all kinds of other Ryan garbage going on. And today it's a pristine, lovely place where people by the thousands every day go. It's a great place. It's run by a guy who's doing a pretty good job. I don't approve of everything that he does. A couple of things, but not as much as some of the people on this board do. But I want you to know that if you want to have a great afternoon, go there between 12:30 and 2:30 and listen to the music, free music. Go for some yoga. Bring your kids there. They'll go on the carousel. They'll do art. It is a terrific place. It's my backyard, and I love the place.
Thank you. Any other comments? Oh, Chris.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for that perspective. It was needed for me.
Any other comments? Thank you. All right, I'm gonna take us briefly out of business session because the borough president has joined us tonight.
Gorgeous, yes. There you go. Ben Wellman Siegel, Manhattan Borough President. Very honored to be here. Very interested to know how you will decide this issue. I know, Bradley, it's not easy, often to deal with a private concern, proposing to take over public space, even for a temporary amount of time. So thank you for being safeguards in that case. I just wanted to welcome the new community board members who are here today. 12, I think. That's a lot. You have already gotten a taste of your job before you, and it honestly is so important. This issue that you're just discussing now, I think, is representative of the kind of input that you will be having moving forward. And you're at a great board with great leadership and a great community. And speaking of which, my team put together a report on dog waste, hard-hitting report. I recommend you, it's honestly a master's thesis in dog waste. Credit to my team, Esther Caroline, who's our director of policy, for creating. It's called Manhattan Has a Dog Waste Problem. Here's how to fix it. Well, the short answer is clean up after your damn dog, but it's slightly more complicated than that. But one of the things I wanted to do as Manhattan Borough President is to start comparing neighborhoods to other neighborhoods in terms of city services. We're calling them neighborhood report cards. So you can understand where your neighborhood is in the constellation of city services and whether there are more complaints or fewer. Maybe we as a community board and as elected officials working with our council members come up with solutions. And one of the first things we did was look at dog waste complaints, community board to community board. And lo and behold, your community board got an A+. So that's pretty good. I don't know if you would confirm that, but it is important that we understand why some neighborhoods have more dog waste complaints than others. There could be just an issue of people want to report more dog waste in certain neighborhoods than others, of course. But there is a correlation that we dive into in this report that shows, not surprisingly, there are fewer dog waste complaints where there are more waste baskets available. And there are fewer dog waste complaints when there are more dog waste bag receptacles. That's a pretty clear-cut correlation. And I know that your council members are working on that very issue. And so hopefully this report will support them in that regard. One of the issues that you're going to be also working on is housing in particular. And we all know how important that is given the shortage of housing. And we know that in your community board district, there's many plans for transitioning from commercial use to residential. And so I'll be hopefully sharing with you some of my recommendations soon about how to kind of make that process go more quickly. But just in the first 6 months, you'll be, I hope, happy to learn that my office has approved 1,400 new units of housing in Manhattan. 550 are affordable. So we'll continue to work with our local council members in that regard. And of course, everyone's talking about the Knicks, as they should be. And I was very happy. You know, another part of my job is to proclaim things. I call it proclamating. And so I proclaimed today OG Ananobi Appreciation Day of Manhattan. And I just literally as I walked in this meeting, I got a text from somebody and they said, hi Brad, are you trying to get your proclamation into the hands of OG? He's my neighbor in our building and we're friends of the family. He flies to San Antonio tomorrow. Could you get it to him by then? I mean, only in New York City, kids, only in New York City. But that's pretty exciting and thrilling. And I think, you know, the Knicks winning is part of a trend line. I'd like to think it's good weather. It's a new city administration. It's FIFA and the World Cup and the excitement that brings. Sure, we have a lot of problems that we have to work on together as New Yorkers, but the spirit, you know, and the morale of our neighbors is really at an all-time high. So I'm very happy about that as your Manhattan Borough President, and happy Pride, everyone. Our Pride theme is
Yes.
I have to introduce, of course, Brock Rosenberg, my colleague. But, you know, one of my awesome responsibilities is to create a welcome sign into Manhattan. DOT called me and said, what do you want to put on the sign? So I thought, well, Barbara Streisand, why not? Hello, gorgeous. You know, Lower East Side, you know, the arts and culture. Of course, you know, that's what Funny Girl Fanny Brice was all about. A girl from Eastern Europe who came to New York City with a dream and made it in show business. And Barbara Streisand played her in the film Funny Girl and uttered that very famous line for those of you who aren't homosexual. But that's our theme for Pride. So if you go to I think our email will have an invitation if you want to march with us on Pride. And I am honored to be the first openly gay borough president in the boroughs of Manhattan. That we know of. But it's a great way to kick off summer with Pride. Of course, there's a lot of work we're doing in connection with that, and including fighting back on anti-trans youth from initiatives from Washington, including the attempt by the Trump Department of Justice in Texas to obtain the records of young people who are receiving gender-affirming care in New York City hospitals. And we've been working with the New York State Attorney General. I passed a bill in Albany when I was your state senator that's called the Trans Shield Law, which gives parents and physicians a longer period to comply to subpoenas. So we're working with the AG, as I said, to hopefully fight those subpoenas and ensure that private medical records stay private. And that's really what it boils down to. If it's not trans kids whose medical records are going to be shared with the DOJ, it could be any of us. And that's, I think, part of the lesson and part of the fight. So thank you very much.
We move back into business session and move on to the Transportation Committee. David, you're up.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm David Sigmund. I'm the chair of the CB5 Transportation Committee. And I've got one informational item.
Wait a minute.
And we have one resolution tonight. So the informational item is that two things happened to me in the course of the last month. I was absolutely drowning in emails, and that's something that you all will get used to as members of CB5. And specifically from DOT on the initiation of projects in our district. And the other thing was that I went to a couple of meetings where everybody was complaining that nothing gets done in New York City. So I said, all right, well, let me make a single list of everything that's happening in our district just with DOT through our committee. And you can see there's 27 projects that we're actively working on now, all of which are in process. If you walk around, I almost got run over by a white stripe painting truck yesterday. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And actually at our next transportation committee meeting next Monday, the 22nd, we're going to sort of walk through these and just orient everybody on some of the things that we've been working on. But it's, you know, it covers everything from Penn Station to what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is Park Avenue vision. So, and I did want to thank the 4 new members who chose transportation to be members of. We appreciate the support. And thank you to Kieran for being our vice chair. Did a great job. Did look up the most consecutive baseball games was Cal Ripken 2,600. So you have like 75 years, which is, you know, because we're term limited, that's not going to happen. So let me go into the this week's resolution, and it's about Park Avenue Vision. We've got a graphic. So for background, so this is you know, north is to the right. This is a view of the project area, and the history, you know, of Park Avenue is that it was basically an open cut for the railroad starting in the 1800s. But in 1913, when Grand Central Station opened, the system had been electrified, and so a roof was built over the open cut, and very wide medians, pedestrian medians. It was the city's first linear park, were built over the stretch of Park Avenue, north of Grand Central Station. So that was 1913. Already by 1927, there was so much car traffic that those were shrunk down and additional lanes were added on each side of Park Avenue. And now finally, you know, 100 years later, you know, probably partly because of congestion pricing, there's a lot less auto traffic on Park Avenue. And so we have the ability to reassess, you know, how these spaces are used. And then on top of that, the train shed that was built 100 years ago to cover the tracks is now falling apart and is being rebuilt section by section over the course of the next decade. And so that's the real opportunity. All of these areas are being ripped up and rebuilt. And so there's a master plan essentially going on for how they're going to be rebuilt when this work is done. And it's starting at the south end. A big chunk of it was done with the JP Morgan Chase headquarters building. It's a mix of public-private work and capital. JP Morgan, as part of their zoning approvals, agreed to do a certain portion of the rebuild of the train shed. It contributed money for the improvements to one of the new medians. When the East Midtown rezoning went through a number of years ago, a committee was formed to oversee a pool of funds that were made available as projects get zoning approvals. They make a contribution to a fund. That fund paid for the design of the new Park Avenue medians. And then DOT and MTA are also using city and state budget funds to build all this. But as I said, it's going to take quite a while. And if we go to the next slide. So there was a public meeting a few months ago, and at the time, what you see on the screen now is a pedestrian-only redo of the medians. They're currently 20 feet wide. They will be alternating under this scenario between 48 feet wide for the one that's at the bottom of the screen. The block just up screen from it has 2 left turn lanes. And so that's 10 feet narrower, 38 feet. And so they'll alternate like that, 48 and 38, all the way up from 46th Street to 57th Street. So this was the one proposal. There were some discussions about a bike lane. There was not a lot of support at the public meeting for a bike lane, in part because it's only this 11-block area. The crosstown bike lanes that connect to it are actually north of this area, so there's not a lot of great bicycle lane connections. It's being built in phases over a period of at least 10 years. And so even though it would be 11 blocks when it's finished, it's probably never going to be 11 blocks anytime soon. So, and you'll see in the next image that adding bike lanes also reduces the pedestrian and planted area. So at that public meeting, there was sort of a urging DOT to study what a bike lane might look like, and at the same time saying, we're just not sure how feasible it really is. So DOT developed the next image, and here you can see the bike lane. So it's the same 48 feet and 38 feet, but a 10-foot wide bike lane is then carved out of each of these islands and then has to connect across the cross streets. It reduces the planted area from roughly 40% to something in the range of around 25%. And you get a number of conflicts between bike lanes and pedestrian, each time you have to transition from median to median. So taking all of that into account, the committee voted in favor of the original option that had no bike lane. But we did say that they're doing another traffic study. The expectation is that over time, between congestion pricing and just, general crowding on city streets, we would expect less and less demand for Park Avenue traffic lanes. And so there might be an opportunity to recapture a lane at some point in the future and make that a bidirectional bicycle lane, matching the fact that Park Avenue is itself bidirectional. We also, as we've been doing in the land use committee, we said if you want to have public space, and they also hoped to have concessions to provide services to the people using the public space, so you got to provide a bathroom and either, build one, or there's a modular plan that the mayor is putting in place, or go work something out with one of the existing buildings. Land use committee, we've been agitating for public bathrooms whenever new projects get zoning bonuses for public space. Not so successfully, but progress is being made legislatively as well. Anyway, we said if you want to have concessions and you want to have that many people occupying these spaces, you have to find space for a bathroom. But we did support the concessions. The other piece I want to add to this, the last resolve, is that there's a plan that's being developed, also a public-private effort, redo Fifth Avenue to widen the sidewalks, to change the layout of the bus lanes. And that plan does not provide a bike lane on Fifth Avenue. And it was the consensus of the committee that if you really want a useful bike lane, then putting it on Fifth Avenue from as far north as you can go to as far south as you can go would be the most beneficial. Yes, there are trade-offs between, what's a bus lane, what's a traffic lane, what's a parking lane, and what's pedestrian space, but we do that all the time. And so we said we need to provide a midtown north-south connector, and our recommendation was Fifth Avenue. So we'll have to take that battle up when we start seeing more of the future of Fifth Sun. So so this passed 12-0-0-0-0-0-0-0, and what came afterwards, after this was published, we had a dialogue with one of the members of the committee, and we had mentioned bi-directional on both the Park Avenue bike lane, which, as we said, is kind of consistent with what Park Avenue is, and is the basis of the design that DOT had done, but we had also mentioned it in connection with this Fifth Avenue bike lane idea. And we had not discussed that at committee. And so I'm offering an amendment that would remove in line 384, that would remove just the word bidirectional from the this draft. So
Second. So just for our new members, and maybe as a reminder for our new members, an amendment has been offered to change the resolution as David described, to remove the word bidirectional from line 384. So we'll discuss that before we discuss the full resolution as you see it in your packets. So are there any questions to the amendment? Any comments? Questions? Questions?
Yeah, Wes.
Yeah, or no?
Just could you clarify why we're trying to remove bidirectional from?
we didn't really discuss it in committee. So it was sort of picked up by by our public member when he reviewed the tape and reviewed the draft. So it was just an inconsistency. And we actually have not made any specific proposal on a Fifth Avenue bike lane yet. So we didn't, we agreed with him that this was not the place to do that for the first time.
Any other questions? Mike?
So we take away the bi-directional word, so that means there's only gonna be one direction?
No, there's not going to be any reference to, is it one direction, is two directions?
Nothing.
The up, down. Could be three directions. Could be one of these.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there's already a bike lane, but that means we're talking about making it longer or?
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, we're doing is sort of stating our goal of having one. And at some point, we're supposed to be seeing the conceptual Fifth Avenue Future of Fifth plan, and then that'll be our opportunity to have specific comments on it.
Do you want to maybe in word to left describe the future of Fifth?
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, it's a public-private effort. The retailers, the Fifth Avenue Association, which is like the bid for Fifth Avenue, they got together with EDC, I forget who else, DOT, and developed a plan which took multiple administrations, came up with a plan that would dramatically widen the sidewalks, increase planted areas, change the way the express bus lanes lay out, reduce the traffic lanes. And, it's quite a battle if you go back to the de Blasio administration. There were people pushing back, everybody drives to stores on Fifth Avenue. Like, I didn't really know anybody that does that. But there was a big push that it was going to hurt retail sales if you didn't have a parking lane. So ultimately a plan was semi-agreed to. We saw a draft, I guess a year or two ago, of what this might look like. We had a lot of comments at the time, and we're still awaiting kind of what the new plan is, which hopefully we'll see in committee, this coming fiscal year.
Any other questions? Catherine?
So is there also a discussion, David, about the fact that Fifth Avenue is not Park Avenue, and so the character of a bike lane? Like, is there a growing, evolving way to develop bike lanes so that they're more protected from traffic, and then that they're more friendly to not hitting pedestrians? And that just the flow of traffic on Fifth Avenue is totally different from Park Avenue. So you could ride a bike. You can ride a bike at 6 a.m. in the morning anywhere you want to. But I'm just asking, is there like some futuristic plan to develop these bike lanes and remove some of the potholes that are in the bike lanes, some of those kind of things?
Back to the version on down, yeah. So Catherine, I mean, this is what DOT came up with, for Park Avenue, and it's hard to tell from this angle, but those islands are completely isolated from road traffic.
Right.
It's like a 24-inch wall that protects the pedestrian side and the bicycle side. And there is a divider between the pedestrian area and the bike area as well. So, you know, that's kind of more state-of-the-art protected bike lane in that design. Nothing has happened on Fifth Avenue at all. So, you know, there may not be a bike lane at all because till now that the proposal is no bike lane.
Thank
Any other questions, city manager? Comments? Nancy, whose hand that is? Oh, Nancy.
On alternating islands, there is a protective wall between pedestrians and bikes.
Yeah.
But on the other ones, like the one we're seeing a piece of it, there is not.
Right. So on the wider one we're seeing now, you can see the line
You can
that
see the,
separates the bike lane from the pedestrian area, but it doesn't, there's not enough room to do it in the 38-foot wide road.
and you can't do it.
Yeah.
And-
I think this was one of the reasons why we just didn't support it in committee.
Any other comments to the amendment? To the amendment?
No.
Christopher.
I think all bike lanes should be bi-directional, so I don't think it's good to take the word out. I don't think it would affect many people's vote here, whether the word were there or not, but taking the word out just ignores the reality of how bike lanes are actually used. I think all of us have taken or seen people on bike lanes. They use the bike lanes in both directions, no matter what. I don't think that this is something that should be discouraged. I think something that should be properly managed by having bike lanes of the appropriate size and direction as in you know, wherever bikers can use them. Because again, every time we add bike lanes, every time we make biking more convenient for people, we save lives and we make the city a better place. I think one-way road for cars, if you were to do transportation studies, one-way road for cars increase speed and result in more accidents and more deadly collisions. So every one-way avenue should not be that way, and we shouldn't encourage the same behavior as bikes as we do for cars. We know how deadly cars are, and again, bikes are something that can mitigate against that. Having bi-directional bike lanes would increase the number of people using bikes, would increase the convenience for bikes, and again, would acknowledge the way that the workers who actually use bikes actually use them. So I think we should leave the word in with.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher, the amendment is not about whether we believe in bi-directional bike lanes or not. It's about the fact that we didn't talk about it in connection with Fifth Avenue. So when we talk about it, we can have that full conversation, but we didn't. So it didn't belong in the draft of the reso. And thank you to Samir for drafting the reso.
Renal.
We are discussing it at full board. I would be supportive of leaving the word in there.
Any other comments?
Good question.
Yeah, just to the amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be opposed to leaving it in because that's not what we voted on. We voted on a resolution to not have that in it. So that would be a problem.
Thank you. Dual.
Yeah, I would just suggest we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. This is just a little section that's speaking to Fifth Avenue. We really haven't gotten to that all in committee. So let's leave it as is. We're not taking a support for or against any direction with the bike lane. And I think that David has made really clear this is just to reflect what happened in committee and the little discrepancy that we had. So suggest that we go with what's David's proposed.
I support Dave's point. It's taking it out. Third, the option, full discussion. I think it's paramount. So I will.
I mean, I'll say that I'm opposed to this type of amendment in general because, like, there are lots of things that come out of committee resolutions where I was in a committee and I said we voted for something in a committee and then the resolution comes out. This is like one tiny word. It doesn't seem to affect it that much. I think this kind of a resolution, like this kind of amendment like this, it's just like we could go back and say like there were like 20 things in the Nike thing that I wanted to change. Like it's weird. Like it just doesn't seem like it is that big a deal. The word should stay where it is.
You're up.
So why I think this is a little different than other proposed changes or nitpicks to other resolutions, that this is a consideration that is sits at a higher level, like a policy level, and it's one that will come to us again as a part of future this. So it's like having new position before you actually have proper position. It's not just like semantic. So I support you.
Let's take this amendment to a vote. So for amendments, we're able to do it by raise of hands. So all those in favor of the amendment, so that would be to change the resolution to remove the word bidirectional, raise your hand. All those opposed? Amendment passes. Okay, so now we are discussing the actual resolution, the full resolution as amended. So removing the word bidirectional on line 380. Are there any questions to the overall amendment? Tom?
David, what's the timeline? When do we expect the DOT to go out, make a decision between the proposals, and when do you expect it to start?
I think the idea is that the decision on the design happened this year. And it's really triggered by the fact that this work is happening because of the much larger construction project of redoing the shed and redoing Park Avenue. So the design is being kind of sped up to make sure it meets that timeline. So the JP Morgan piece of it is already ready for this work. And so, yeah, the goal is to get the design done by this fall and start the construction of the bottom piece of it. And then as they move up, like the, there's an investment bank with Vornado and the Rudens that are building a new office building. That's the next phase. And then there's another phase north of that that's still waiting for funding from MTA. So that's why it's going to take a number of years before you see the whole plan.
David, in the language of this proposal as well as in the image, don't see many details on the pedestrian crosswalks. I don't see any stop signs. Was there any details that you had pertaining to the pedestrian crosswalk?
Yeah, it was part of the package. You can see a little bit of it here. So the most important thing is that on those left-hand turn areas where you're going to have vehicular traffic crossing the pedestrian areas. So yeah, those crosswalks, actually, if you go back to the non-bike lane one, sorry. Yeah, so those crosswalks will all have, pedestrian signalization. The left-hand turn lanes are all going to be retimed so that there's no overlap between the green signal for the left-hand turn and the green signal for pedestrians. So it's, I think they're still working on some of the details of it, but the issues that we raised in committee were familiar to them, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it was discussed at all how the redevelopment of these could affect the future open streets that happen typically in the summer where all of Park Avenue is closed to traffic for bikes and runners and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you mean just during the construction period?
Yeah,
or
during the
what's it?
construction.
I don't know that specifically came up. I mean, it's going to be completely torn up.
Right.
As you've seen, with JP Morgan. So it'll interrupt it. I mean, it happened with JP Morgan, so I didn't do it. Did they route around that construction site?
I don't recall getting
Yeah.
through that.
I don't remember the details, but I think there was also some alternating of sides so that you can't close Park Avenue in a full width chunk.
Right.
So they were going to alternate the side that they do work on so they could maintain some flow.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to say that my daughter was the subject of a New Yorker cartoon about the Knicks.
Yeah.
Because she knows the cartoonist. But I'm a Mets fan and I believe they affect each other. The Mets are doing badly because the Knicks are winning. Just put that out there. We could vote on that.
Thanks for meeting. All right, so next we'll move to state licenses and permits. Slap.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. I'm Seth Borden. One sec.
Seth Borden, Chair of the State Licenses and Permits Committee. For the new members, we advise state authorities on applications for liquor licenses, as well as cannabis licenses and outdoor dining setups that you've seen around the city. So before I get to main business tonight, I just want to thank Yoden, who has been my vice chair since the beginning. I've really valued her wisdom and humor throughout. And I also wanted to say congratulations to Andrea, who's my new vice chair. All right, we have two resolutions tonight. Can I have them deemed read?
Deemed.
All right, our first application is on is for a new liquor license from Carnes Asadas El Beto LLC. They'll operate a large restaurant at 39 West 19th Street. So for some quick background for our new members, this is in our restricted licensing area, which is because we have historically had some quality of life issues in the area caused by a confluence of bars, clubs, and residences. We usually apply a higher level of scrutiny to those, particularly regarding hours. So Gail took the lead on this and did an excellent job negotiating with applicants and came to committee with a good set of reasonable restrictions on hours and other items. So at committee, the members saw no need for any further restrictions beyond those negotiated. And I want to give a quick background on what you're voting on. You're voting on a deny unless resolution. So for new members, this is standard from our committee. Since we are only advisory and the state liquor authority makes the final decision, what we're effectively saying is that if the applicant agrees to the affidavit that we've sort of outlined with them, what we're saying is we have no comment, which is ideal for the applicant. And then if the applicant does not end up agreeing to the affidavit, we're then recommending the SLA deny the application. So for this and most applications, we know in advance that the applicant has agreed to the affidavit and will sign soon after the meeting. But this is just our way of making sure they follow through on that. So the vote here was unanimous, 11-0-0-0.
Are there any conflicts? Any questions? Any comments? Next one.
All right. The second resolution is an application for a new liquor license from Kingsman LLC, which will operate a private members club at 652-656 Avenue of the Americas. This is also very similar to our first one in the restricted licensing area. On this one, before coming to the committee, the applicant and their team with us tonight had actually reached a memorandum of understanding with the Flatiron 20th and 21st Street Block Association, which is a great step to take before coming to committee. And then Yoden took the lead here and brought the committee key stipulations, including those in the MOU, as well as our standard stipulations. Again, the committee saw no need for additional restrictions, and it was unanimous again, 11-0-0-0.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Comments? Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. The last thing I just wanted to talk through really quick is not an action item, but for those who are interested, we are kicking off efforts to revisit our restricted licensing area, which is very applicable to the two applications we just had. This is required every 2 years by the policy. And as we do this, we're also thinking of bringing into consideration the Broadway corridor restricted licensing area. And just for background, our approach in CB5 is to take most applications individually. But these two areas represent where there has been consistent conflict with licensed establishments and the community. And so tonight is probably not the night to comment on it, but if you do have any interest, please reach out to me and to Andrea, and we can take your input on those two areas.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to next, land use, housing, and zoning. Right. Good.
Mr. Chairman, it's not in the pack.
This is a report, not a.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Gosho, and I'm Chair of Land Use Housing and Zoning Committee. We were fairly quiet in terms of application this month. We didn't have any. But we did take the time to focus on what I think is an important issue affecting the livability of our four newly zoned Midtown Manhattan residential districts that were set up by the MSMX rezoning. And for those of you that are new to the board, I suggest you look up MSMX rezoning, learn about what happened. Basically, what occurred was it is now as of right for residential buildings to be built in 4 manufacturing districts where previously residential was prohibited. And so I presented a deck on something called ALAN, Artificial Light at Night, which I call Times Square in the Sky, Times Square everywhere. So please watch the video of the meeting to get up to speed on this issue. Basically, Times Square everywhere is because rezoning has changed Midtown. It's now residential, 24/7 mixed use, and lighting impacts now affect residents and public space. The core issue here is that Times Square level LED lighting is spreading beyond the theater district into neighborhoods where people live, sleep, and use parks and plazas. So at upcoming meetings, our committee will explore the potential health, environmental, public realm, and economic impacts associated with highly illuminated digital signage. I call them LED billboards. 24/7 flashing, highly illuminated signage, glaring into people's residential apartments wherein blackout shades don't even keep it out. Very uncomfortable. We also hope to better understand how existing regulations are applied, whether current standards adequately address today's mixed use conditions, and what tools or best practices other jurisdictions have used to balance commercial activity with neighborhood livability. One example is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They have very specific requirements regarding exterior lighting. That's my report.
So if you wouldn't mind staying up there, Nancy, because I am going to switch around the order of the agenda just to up here. So we are going to move on to the executive. Go ahead.
Nancy, what's the relationship between this report, this work you're doing, and MSMX zoning changes?
Well, MSMX is currently a manufacturing commercial district. And with adding residential, what are those effects that could occur that could prevent creating a livable community? This is coming up because an application is coming to the board soon regarding adding highly illuminated building signage 60 feet tall in another district across from a Vest-Pocket Park, which we all love. So you'll learn more about this when it actually comes. So look up ALAN, Artificial Light at Night.
So we're going to switch the order of the agenda just a little bit because Nancy's up here and she'll be doing the report on the ratification of the land use consultant for fiscal year 2027. Should have all received that as part of the package. Take it away.
Okay, so we work with a man who's a city planner, urban planner by the name of George Janes, and he has been under contract with us for land use and zoning consulting for 1 year, and we are proposing that we extend that another year. So what happens is each spring, the board identifies surplus funds that must be used before the end of June. So for the past 2 years, the board has prioritized using these funds to retain a land use expert as a subject matter expert to consult with land use, housing, and zoning. So following last year's RFP process where we solicited for multiple proposals and received them and reviewed them, George Jane's proposal was the only one that offered to us and met both our service needs and our budget. He provided the best value, combining reasonable rates with extensive experience. He brings significant experience working with community organizations and a number of other community boards. He assisted us on major initiatives, including MSMX, the POPs public bathroom zoning proposal, and numerous ULURP and land use applications. And everyone knows what ULURP is, correct? If you don't look that up, ULURP. Another little bit of homework. So this year we have another anticipated surplus. And so the executive committee decided that an open RFP process was unlikely to produce different results than what we already got last year. What's that? So the executive committee voted unanimously to extend George Jane's contract for a second year. That's what we're voting about. So now the approval of full board is before us, and that's what we're asking you to vote on tonight. So I strongly recommend that you vote for the approval of this contract extension because he is highly accessible, responsible, and reliable. He provides real-time guidance on ULURP and complex zoning matters, such as City of Yes for Housing Opportunity and our ULURP and our MSMX. He supports a neutral, fact-based committee process. His advice improves efficiency, continuity, and understanding of zoning issues. He brings valuable citywide land use perspective because he's working for our community board as well as several others. So issues that come up with us oftentimes have already come up with other community boards. And so it's an economy of scale in a way we can lock on to what he's already doing. It's practical and effective, and he's a great subject matter resource for our land use committee.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Robin?
Yeah, just a quick question. I remember that last year we were considering the appointment to this consultant for the first time. There were some concerns that were raised by members of the committee about. I was just wondering, with a year of experience, have members of the committee continue to express those concerns based on actual work, or have things gone fairly smooth?
Tell me what those concerns were, because I don't.
Well, if you
Not
haven't,
sure.
if they've not been, vocalized over the past year. Yeah, remember them?
Well, the only one I can remember was that someone made the allegation that he served as a plaintiff and a party to a lawsuit. I checked that out with him. George Janes is an expert witness. He's paid for his opinion like any subject matter expert, like a tax attorney or an architect. That's what he does. He doesn't take a personal position on anything. We may want him to take a position for us at some point as part of his consulting to us. Did I answer that question?
A couple quick questions, Nancy. The rates that were mentioned in the letter, how does it compare with the rates we paid George in the past year? How much did we spend with him last year? And how much do we budget for his work this current year?
So I can speak to the last two. I don't know if I'm going to lean on you, Marisa. You can, the first one, but over the last year, we issued a contract for the same amount, and we did a photo finish right on time. Actually, I think he went slightly over, and he sort of did that in for free press. But Marisa, I think the rates are the same, but I don't know if you know. Okay.
Rates are the same.
You asked the difference between his proposal and others.
This
No.
year and last year.
Well, I can tell you that they were more than double.
I mean,
He wasn't even, they weren't, the other proposals weren't even close to.
Karen.
He's been pretty generous with his time, right? Like in terms of accessibility, not counting.
We don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Any other questions? Comments? David?
Yeah, I mean, I was one who raised some concerns last year about picking him. I recommended a
I found another person to propose something, and I don't really quite remember. I don't think they were actually considered. I'm disappointed with the conversation that we had last year about this, that there isn't an actual open RFP process that is transparent, and that we're just going ahead and using this person who I believe is reasonably biased against development. And I think that if you talk to anybody at DCP who has done any of the rezonings, they will tell you, the folks I've talked to say that he directly lies in some of his presentations. So I have concerns about this. I'd like to see a more transparent process. I don't know, we are where we are here today. I would hope next year we can maybe run a process like I think a public board should. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just in response to, looking that raised issues, due to the language. Uncertain about the comments that we've had. Oh, sorry. Just in terms of after a year in the land use, I've seen no evidence of bias in either direction, and I found the presentations, the reports that he gives us are actually very helpful. So,
Catherine.
I just want to comment that as someone that doesn't have expertise in this area, that this particular consultant has been helpful over time for me in my decision-making process in bringing forward how to, and helping us move through these text amendments and trying to bring our concerns through the technical language. And that in his presentation, one of the low-hanging fruit for me is if you can tell me something that let me just say it another way. Basically, what you have in the room with a lot of the situations with landmarks, everybody at the table has been at this for a long, long time. And so everyone wants to bring in new people, but there is set in stone a way in which the city works and then in a way in which we have to work to be effective. And he's been helpful. And sometimes, and I've sat in, if you want to learn, you sit in. So I've sat in, I've watched the videos, I sat in on a presentation, and something that is, one of the projects or one of the things he presented, the city was saying they were thinking about doing, but it so happened in another neighborhood, they already piloted it and they never said they did. But my point is that his expertise has been enormously helpful historically to us. And that is undeniable. That you can look at in the videos, in the presentations that he's presented.
Thank you, Ken.
When we ask him to help us on an application, we ask him to give pro and con, good and bad. And there are a number of us who do have experience with land use and the zoning resolution, and we are not fools. He does not come and dictate and tell us what to do. We analyze and critically take a look at what he's giving us. And if we believe he's lying, we could see that. We're not going to take his word verbatim. So that's a very naive point of view to think that we would do that.
David.
Two things. First of all, in terms of process, we're following city requirements. There's a full RFP for his first contract, with multiple bidders at, and for contract under, I guess, $20,000, you don't have to. Not required. So we're following the letter requirement when you get to the town. For city procurement. Number two is the biggest test for me, George, was that he was tremendously helpful on Midtown South. It's a huge piece of work, forever, extremely detailed. Geography was very wide. He answered the questions that we asked him to and provided a lot of insight, and we made huge progress with city planning, in part because of the expertise that we brought. We're always outgunned. Even though we have people that are knowledgeable, it's not the same as when we go up against a well-funded proposer who has, a land use attorney in the state. So we need somebody, and we have found George to be very responsive and useful.
Okay, so I recall well the conversation from last year. Sign of the times that professionals such as current consultant who are under discussion can't have professional opinions that show think is totally wrong. Of course, there are people like us, but many consultants are perfectly of giving pro and con advice, and as Nancy said, not prudence. And it's easy enough to tell some advice. The other thing is you can't beat the price. Easy at a very reasonable price, $10 an ounce. For our new members here, let's all remember that the actual design of the community homes, when they first came into being, they were crippled by the fact they had no budget, no staff. So if we have a good consultant, we're getting him at a reasonable price, then we should stick with it unless there's a compelling.
Thank you. Any other comments? David?
I just want to offer my services next year at half the cost of George Haynes. I'll be happy to explain all the zoning laws and regulations and everything to whomever would like that at half the price. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. All right, we have two more items. Samir.
Hello. All right, can everyone hear me? Great, I'm Samir Lavingia, I'm the second vice chair of the board. Going to present these two resolutions. Nice to meet all the new members. So we have two resolutions from the executive committee. May I have them deemed read? Great. The first one is a resolution opposing intro 322-2026. This proposed law would give council members the power to make appointments directly to community boards. For those who don't know, the community board members, all of us, were appointed by the borough president. I think he left, but borough president Holman Siegel. Half of those members are recommended by council members. For example, I was recommended by Councilmember Harvey Epstein. And so this introduction would change it. So instead of the council members recommending the members to then be approved by the borough president, the council members would be appointing them directly themselves. We thought that this was unnecessary. The current structure where we have one centrally administrated application, interview, review, and appointment process, we thought, or we think, works better than having multiple different interested parties. You know, if we have an issue on the board, we'd have to figure out, okay, who do we go to? Are they going to be receptive? Instead of the current system where there's just the borough president. We also thought we might have concerns around the reappointment process and just general ability of different council members to staff up to decide who they would want to appoint for the community boards. It's just not really in their core competencies. They should focus on legislating. So that was something we talked about at the meeting. And generally, the borough presidents, at least for Community Board 5, have honored the nominees of the council members and have put them all on the board. So we didn't think that this was a necessary change to that would actually change anything. So we thought we would leave it as is. And so that's why we oppose intro 322.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Kevin.
Samir, can you please explain where who's proposing the law? Or
Sure.
where it's originating from?
Sure. So this is originating in the city council. This would be to change the city charter. I think there was one sponsor who wrote it. I think it's Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Natasha Williams out in Queens or Brooklyn? Queens, far eastern Queens. So they have proposed it. This is not the first year that it's being proposed. But it was brought up again, so we thought we would weigh in on it. As you heard at the beginning of the meeting, Councilmember Epstein also spoke about it and suggested we take a look, so great timing.
Are there any other council members within the districts that overlap with CB5 co-sponsors of this legislation?
I believe that this legislation was the one that has 0 co-sponsors from our district.
Thank you.
25 sponsors altogether, if you're exactly right.
Any other questions? Okay, question?
I'd like to understand, like, you guys voted 11-0 here, right? Was there any pushback? Was there any discussion on why this could be a good thing?
I don't think we had any discussion about why this could be a good thing. We generally thought that it would just add a bit more unnecessary process and confusion. I think the fact that none of the council members in our district have supported this, I think actually we had one that had supported it, but they'd removed themselves. And so I guess that also represents our views on the board at the executive meeting.
Cool. May I speak to that?
Question?
No.
Then no.
Question.
Kevin.
Who was the council member that removed themselves?
It was Councilmember Wilson.
I'm sorry?
Councilmember Wilson.
Thank you.
Max.
Yeah, how do the current council members decide who they're going to nominate? Do they take from the pool of people who, like I did, applied through the borough president's office? Or is that kind of parallel application process that I was somehow not aware of?
It's really up to them how they recommend people. I know that some council members, if they don't have a pool, maybe they'll ask the borough president for some ideas. Other council members work with different community groups that they're involved with to suggest members. It's really up to them.
Even if you're nominated by a council member, you still go through the borough president's application process.
Any other questions? Comments?
Yeah, so there are 25 sponsors of this bill. So if you look at that, you'll see who the city council members are, what boroughs are in, and you can make a judgment based on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would support the executive committee's position. I think something should be said about other issues that could be considered, but it doesn't sound like they were mentioned. But the history of our own board, we had a situation, someone that the borough president tried to act based on a single issue and without respect to the overall.
Sorry, could you speak up?
Yeah, I'm trying. We had a situation in our own board where borough president criticized by some of trying to pack with single issue voters on a certain issue and refuse reappointment to other voters on something other than good performance. So if you look at this proposal, one might argue that it was the loop of power of borough president to do something. So that's something to think about. It's a serious governmental structural issue. It hasn't really been a problem. Again, the norms within the city have always been city council members and the borough presidents work cooperatively to work these things out. And I would hope we can get back. The other thing that must be seen is that looking back over the suite of the city council and the way politics are done in the city, giving the city council each individual city council member with the 3 or 4 members of the group, the ability to pick their own members administratively, as has been mentioned. And, you know, the issues of dividing the choice in so many different ways might lead to corruption or favoritism. I would urge that we pass this. If there is any more intense discussion about it, maybe some mention might have made of these concerns, and urge people who are urged the process to get back to the idea that council members and the borough president work cooperatively and in making their choices, not stack the board, but look at the whole picture and try to reward good performance on a variety of issues.
Thank you. Comment, any other comments? Nancy?
For me, this is just really a management issue. One office needs to be in charge. We have 4 council members. Someone needs to override all that's going on to make sure that we get the members when we need them in June of every year. That would be my concern. That's why I think this is important that we vote this way.
Thank you. Kevin and then David.
Just in response to David's question, he asked if there were any dissenting voices. I actually did have a little bit of a devil's advocate comment at the discussion where I thought that there is some benefit from a democratic perspective of sort of spreading out the decision makers from just one person to a broader array of people who are selecting these people. You know, even if this one person is somebody that's really like trust, you know, it's more just kind of principally democratic kind of have more. And at least a portion of it being more of a parliamentary kind of system. But ultimately, I sided with what Nancy just said, in that the practical considerations of having multiple people, trying to put multiple people on the board at one time, just overwhelmed my concern. So I voted in favor of this from a practical managing the board. So I'm going to vote in favor of it.
Thank you. David.
I mean, this strikes me as kind of the dumb stuff that Trump has been doing across the nation, right? You're basically trying to centralize power here. And I don't see why there's a problem of having the people that your community elect be part of the community board to have diversity of thought. The way that it exists right now, it really is relying upon what the Manhattan Borough president thinks makes sense. Why shouldn't your elected official be able to decide or have some portion of that? Like this strikes me as like the approval of this is the opposite of democracy, to your devil's advocate kind of thought process. So I think that this is like a really big deal that was done in executive committee, and this deserves a real conversation.
You're on.
So I want to reiterate something Samir said, just like, important to remember this is already happening in a way. As Samir said, executive committee couldn't think of an instance in which, a council member's recommendations are not taken by the borough. So that's already happening. The other thing I will say that I look at it, there's the managerial question, there's the administrative question. There's also the question that, we are here to advocate to our council members and having them directly appoint. It's like, it's maybe there's one there, but overall, let's look at it as like, this is already happening. But the administration of it is sitting in one body, and it's really important for how it works.
Thank you, Christopher.
I want to pose this resolution because I feel like the board loves, and hi new people. The board loves overreach, right? The board loves to think like that there's some sort of way that we can determine our members. We can't, and we're not supposed to determine our members. I suppose this is advisory, like, oh, we want to advise on this or that, but like whatever the borough president decides, whatever a city council member might decide, it's a huge waste of our time to be like, let's determine who's on this board by advocating for one thing or another. And I don't think that it's something we should have ever waded into. I will oppose this because I think, like, what happens politically outside of here in relation to how the board is composed I would operate under it either way. Like if it happens that the borough president is the one who's appointing us, then that's one mode. If it happens that council members, I actually do think it's a slightly more democratic mode to have more council members have direct input on the board. But you know, either way that happens, I don't think it's for the board to determine like the composition of the. It's just one of these things that we keep doing, which is like trying to determine who is on the board and that kind of stuff. And I just think it's a waste of time.
Catherine.
I just wanted to comment on the process. So, and to say, the way the process stands now, 800 people apply to be on community boards. And so to have council people directly appointing people disrupts even the broad application process that you get by having the management of the process. So and there isn't anything that says, so it is already the broadest way in which you can develop community boards. And I think that, I just wanted to be able to clarify that the process, the way it stands now, 800 people apply to be on community boards.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank
Max.
Yeah, I think that we should welcome discussion about how these boards are appointed, but I'm going to support the resolution in opposing the law because it doesn't seem very well thought out. It doesn't, we have how many, 3 or 4 council members that are they're not elected by the community directly, they're elected partially by our community, outside our community, and it's a little bit unclear how those appointments are made. So support the resolution.
Thank you, Gail.
I would like to echo that. I think for some of us who were up for reappointment this year, just there were some growing pains with a new borough president. We got the information very late. It was very down to the wire. And I just worry if you have 4 people weighing in, maybe some are new, some years, maybe some aren't, it's gonna add so much complexity. And like Samir, I also was nominated by my council person, so I do feel like you're already giving input and involved in the process. I don't think it makes sense to add more complexity when they already have so many things they're doing and to go through all the applications and complex process.
Thank you, Gail. Nancy.
We're only giving our opinion. We're not determining anything.
Okay, move on to the next one.
Great. All right, the next, it's also an opposition to proposed legislation intro 0501 2026. So this resolution or this legislation would establish 4-year term limits for district managers with the option to with renewal authority vested in us in the community board and removal authority vested in the borough presidents if there is cause. So for people who don't know, right now, Marisa is our district manager. She gave the district manager's report at the start, and she is was hired by the board, by all 50 of us or whoever, is participating in that process. And so right now we have, I guess, control, so to speak, of who we hire. This resolution or this legislation would change it. So instead of hiring a district manager indefinitely, we would hire them for a 4-year term, and then we'd have to renew it every 4 years. We had concerns at the executive committee meeting that this process or this setup where you are only hired for 4 years is going to lead to us having a harder time finding professionals to do this type of work. We also talked a bit about how we have term limits coming up for board members, and that means that every 8 years, assuming everyone stays on for their 4 consecutive terms, we're going to have some turnover on the board, and having some overlap with the borough or with the district manager can be helpful. And then the last thing was that we talked about just general independence between the community boards and the borough president's office, and how if we are going to support this, which would vest authority in the borough president's office to remove or get rid of our district manager, then we're kind of giving away a little bit of our authority and our independence. I think that covers everything.
Any conflicts? Any questions?
Oh, I should have said that the vote on this resolution and the previous one was unanimous, 11-0-0-0.
I'm new. Can you explain the role of a district manager?
Marissa, do you want to explain?
With us.
How much time do you have?
The district manager and the staff provide the professional support for the volunteers, all of you that are on the board. So it's our job to support your work. We are the interface between the agencies and board members and committees. We help committees do the research they need to do for the various policies that they're interested in. You know, we help them do the work that they are trying to do within each of their committees. So we're the professional staff to the volunteer board.
If I may add one thing, there are some community boards that have had a bit of turnover with their district managers or maybe don't have one for a period of time, and those community boards are a mess.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Joel?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that this particular intro has only one sponsor, a Queen City Council member.
David?
Yeah, I mean, on this one, I felt this was a solution to the problem. The district manager position is already at will, which is even shorter than 4 years. I didn't think that would really. And I could, I just didn't think that.
Nancy?
Our district manager, our district ops also take in all of the complaints from various community members when they don't know where to turn to. They will monitor the 311 calls, and that's a huge responsibility that requires a certain level of patience that our staff has. And I'd like to commend them on their patience in dealing with the general public, that they do a great job.
Todd?
Okay, so if you heard what I said before in one of my previous comments, the community boards struggle with lack of resources, lack of support. And there's always things coming up out of the boards to make it harder for us and give us less influence than we already have. So the idea that they're going to limit our ability to choose first our own manager and then term one, right? They've already term limited us as community board members is, I think, just part of a trend by some to recap our ability to do all that. We have a good community manager, and it's hard to find a good one or even a competent one. We have the ability, as has been said, at will to change them. So this to me is truly a no-brainer, and I support the exemption.
Thank you.
Well, I echo what Todd just said, and being a member of more than one community board. I also like to say that every district is different, and different community boards need different managers with different habits. And take Brooklyn and Cardinal Edge. They've all been concerted for a long time. It takes a while to a long time to get through the district. And Marissa's done a terrific job. Should lose our power. Good stuff.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Round of applause for Marissa.
All right, so that concludes our resolutions for tonight. So if you will take 5 minutes, so you all have the Google form, you make your vote, we will check back in at 8:35.
And just a reminder, as Brad said, is that you agree with the resolution, even if the resolution itself is a no. Confusing. I mean, yes means I agree with the resolution, no means I disagree with it.
After hours.
I'm like, it's so fun to meet.
Amy lit it up. Closed and then they'd be out eats and.
All right, let's go.
So we will.
2026 minutes with 37 yes votes. Abstained, 1 absent, that was approved. The Central Parks Community Service League, there's a third.
Yeah, because the air conditioning was too loud. You just look up and stand.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it with the microphone.
The air conditioning down here is quite noisy.
You called it.
Okay, just to start from the top, thank you. Okay.
Outside voice.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, so approval of the May 2026 minutes with 37 yes votes, 1 abstain, 1 absent. That has been approved. Next, the Central Park Conservancy, the water restoration, 38 yes votes, 1 abstain. That has been approved. The 1181 Broadway Rooftop Edition with 38 yes votes, 1 abstain. That has been approved. Next, the storefront window film legalization for 25 East 21st. 31 yes votes, 5 no votes, 3 abstains. That has been approved. Next, Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act, CB5 support. 38 yes votes, 1 abstain. That has been approved. Next, Bryant Park, the Nike Soccer Stadium activation. 34 yes votes, 3 noes, 2 abstains. That has been approved. Next, the Park Avenue Vision Plan and CB5's position with 36 yes votes, 1 no vote, 1 abstain, 1 absent. That has been approved. Next, moving on, Carnes Asadas, the liquor license application, 37 yes votes, 1 abstain, 1 absent. That has been approved. Next, Kingsman Club, the next slap liquor license application, 37 yes votes, 1 abstain, 1 absent. That has been approved. Next, regarding George Janes, Urban Planning Consultant Services, 34 yes votes, 2 noes, 2 abstains, and 1 absent. That has been approved. Next, on intro 322 on opposition for community board appointment changes, 34 yes votes, 3 no votes, 1 abstain, 1 absent. That has been approved. And then finally, the last intro 501 opposing the district manager term limits with 34 yes votes, 2 abstains, and 3 absents. That has also been approved. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Milan. Now open up the floor to any new business. Any new business, Mike?
Attention, new members. I have been living in and working in New York pretty much every day for the last 84 years. I have learned about this city from my own experience on the public school, high school, college, Hunter College in New York City. And now I'm a tour guide in New York City. I have studied the history. I have read many books, and I concentrate in 2 areas, the Garment District and the Flatiron District, both in our Community Board number 5 area. I know a lot about these places. I spent my career in the Schmacher business in the Garment District for over 60 years. And I do tours of the Flatiron District for free, for both of them, for free. Free tours. So if you folks want to learn a little about the history of our community board area, you might want to avail yourself of these free tours that I offer. For example, the next Garment District tour, which is pretty full already, but you're welcome to join, is on Tuesday the 23rd at 10:30. If you want to know more about it, it's on my website. I'll give you my cost. I'm buying, I'll give you one. The next Flatiron tour is on Sunday, the 3rd, Sunday, the 5th of July, right after the 4th of July. Many of you are probably holiday, me too. Anyway, if you're interested in doing the tours, I can give you my card and you can look up my email, website. And you can learn and just call me, I'll reserve a spot for you. Thank you.
Any other new business? Okay, thank you, everyone. Next up, we have the public session. Are there any speakers either in the room or online who would like to speak? As a reminder, at this time, any comment should be about a topic that was not covered during the meeting and that they did not speak to the board about during the public hearing. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand either in person or virtually.